Good evening and welcome. Tonight we will be going over the history and geography of Bangkok in Thailand. Of course, Bangkok is the capital city of Thailand and by far its largest city. Bangkok is located in the southern part of the country. Thailand goes really far south from here. So, in general, toward the south of the country, let's say. It's located here. You can see the Bight of Bangkok there. And that is a body of water that is part of the, can you see? Barely. The Gulf of Thailand. And the Chao Phraya River flows through the city and to the ocean. Chao Phraya River. Bangkok is famous for a lot of things, right? One thing it is famous for is that it has the longest name of any place in the world. Before you start to comment about some place in Wales, this place is longer. I double checked. I'm not going to try to say the name in Thai because I am not a Thai-speaking person, not even close. So I'll just tell you that the full name of Bangkok translates to City of Angels, Great City of Immortals, Magnificent City of the Nine Gems, Seat of the King, City of Royal Palaces, Home of Gods Incarnate, erected by Vishvakarman, I messed it up, erected by Vishvakarman at Indra's behest, which is a mouthful, as you can tell, even I stumbled upon it. But it's shortened down to Krungtep. You can see here, Krungtep. So that is what the locals call it. That's its name in Thai. Bangkok, of course, is the American English pronunciation because I speak American English. So that's how I'm going to call it. It has lots of other nicknames, though. It takes that first part, City of Angels. It's nicknamed that, but that is, of course, also the nickname for Los Angeles in California. But the best nickname is that it's also called the Big Mango, which is a pun on New York City being the Big Apple. And that's a fantastic nickname. I guess not much else to say about the geography portion other than there is a lot happening in this city. And we'll look at all of the amazing sites on Google Earth after we go over the history portion. We'll see the palace, we'll see some famous wats, which are very elaborate Buddhist temples. We will see the river and some other famous little aspects of the city. So how did Bangkok come to be? How did this huge, sprawling city come to rest right here and become the capital of Thailand? Well, we don't really know about the early habitation. We assume that Thai people settled in this river area around the 10th century CE. And we're probably just subsistence farming for all we know. This area did come under the control of at least two major Asian empires that I found, the Khmer, which is now mostly associated with Cambodia. You can see it's right over here. It's where the heart of the Khmer Empire is located. And also a Mon Empire, the Mon being an ethnic group that primarily live in Myanmar today, but you can find them all throughout Southeast Asia. In particular, the Dvaravati Empire, which was a Mon Empire. But by the 13th century, this was ruled by the Kingdom of Ayutthaya, which is very closely associated with Thailand. Ayutthaya was known in the West, I should say, as Siam. So if you've heard the name Siam, maybe you've heard of Siamese cats. They come from Ayutthaya. And sadly, the ruins of Ayutthaya are just outside the city limits. You can see Ayutthaya right there. We won't be talking about that today, unfortunately. Along with lots of other neat old buildings from long ago that are just outside the city limits. So we'll talk about them on another day. It was noted in about the 15th century, when Europeans started to take an interest in this part of the world, that the primary inhabitants of this area were Chinese merchants who had an outpost here and were, just living their little lives there. Nothing too busy or hustle bustle like it is today, right? It slowly started to build up there because of the trade happening between Southeast Asia and Europe. And at one point, France started to take an interest in pretty much the entire region that's known as Indochina. And they built a fort here in Bangkok, or at this time it was called Thonburi. And after many clashes with the locals, in 1688, the siege of Bangkok occurred, where the locals rose up and booted the French out of the city, and they fled. And very famously, Thailand is the only country here in Southeast Asia that was never colonized. That comes up in trivia all the time. Thailand remained independent from any European power, although the French really did try their darndest to take Thailand. They never did. It's a point of pride for people of Thailand. So let's talk about how this city was really truly founded as a major city. The Burmese invaded Ayutthaya. Of course, the Burmese being associated with Myanmar, they're still called Burmese today. They invaded Ayutthaya and completely annihilated the empire and took over the region. A general rose up named Thaksin and managed to push out the Burmese from the area. He declared himself king, and he was crowned here in Thonburi in 1768 and made it his capital city. And that's when things really started to happen. But flash forward to 1782, and that's where we're going to get Bangkok. Allegedly, King Thaksin was going mad, as they say in history, a mad king. I was reading up about what exactly was going on, and he did seem to get really fervently religious to the point where he thought that he was Buddha reincarnated. A bit of a problem. He's focusing more on the comings and goings of the monks in the area than running an actual kingdom, among other things. One of his generals overthrew him, exiled him, or possibly killed him. That's all very iffy, but most likely he was executed. And that general would go on to be known as King Rama I. He would establish his own dynasty here, which is still going on today. Every king has been named Rama ceremoniously. They have full names. It's just easier to remember them as Rama I, Rama II, Rama III. We're currently on Rama X. And he decided that he did not quite like Thaksin's palace in Thonburi, so he relocated his castle to the other side of the river to what would become an island after canals were dug there, and that island's called Ratanakosin. He built his palace there, named it Bangkok. He built a very famous wat that we're going to look at, and he relocated a beautiful Buddhist relic, the Emerald Buddha, to the wat right next to the palace. He erected a pillar here on April 21st, 1782, to officially declare that Bangkok was his founding capital city. And it's been thriving ever since, of course. With modernization, it's been growing and growing, more people coming from villages to seek work in this thriving metropolitan area, modernizing with trains, electricity, what have you, as that technology was invented. Just a note about politics in Thailand. Since this is the capital city, normally I don't talk about political history when I'm going over history of places, but it's actually relevant to the city since it's the capital. In 1932, after some revolutions occurred, the monarchy was not so much overthrown, but they brought an end to the absolute monarchy and brought about a more democratic government. Not perfect, still a constitutional monarchy technically to this day, but far more democratic than it was with elected officials and all that. During World War II, Thailand sided with the Japanese. It was either, be ruthlessly invaded or become friends. So there's a lot more to it. The government was sympathetic, etc., etc. But they allied with the Japanese, which means that the Allied forces, mainly the United States, the UK, etc., did bomb Bangkok significantly during the war. But the city has rebuilt itself ever since and has been growing and spiraling out, even at a more rapid pace than it was back in the 1800s and early 1900s. Obviously, there's been a lot of political upheaval and protests. There were, I think, 2 coups in the 1960s, which led to some very large protests during the 1970s, which did end in violence as protesters were fired upon and killed. There was the economic disaster in Eastern Asia in the 1990s, where many, many countries were affected by a deep recession, including Bangkok. It's pretty hard hit. I think the only place that wasn't hit was Singapore, to be honest. There was another coup in 2014, and the country, and therefore the city, was run by a military junta until 2019, I believe. I believe it's officially all over. Thai viewers or anyone who's more knowledgeable about the subject, let me know, because it was strangely hard to find sources about what happened there. But I believe that is where we are today, the history of Bangkok. Of course, it is a thriving tourist industry for many reasons, some nefarious that I don't quite want to mention on the channel for monetization purposes, but if you know, you know. But for the most part, people come to Bangkok to experience the culture, to see the sights, and of course to eat delicious Thai food. Lots of night markets and floating markets, and street vendors, street food. There's far too many places to eat here, and of course it's all fantastic because it's Thai food, and Thai food is yummy. My cat just started eating in the background. Maybe I made him hungry, so why don't we transition over to the tablet so he can finish eating, and then we can explore Bangkok on Google Earth. Let's go. Of course he's still eating. Sorry if you can hear munching in the background, but here we are in Bangkok. Where did I put my pencil? Here it is. Okay, good. Here we are in Bangkok. Let's start by zooming out so you can see exactly where we are in the world. If you're not quite sure where Thailand is located, that's totally fine. You're going to learn right now, and then you'll always know. So here is Thailand, very recognizable on maps because it looks like an elephant. You can see the big ear here, and there's this big head and long trunk coming down this way. That's Thailand. And the elephant's their national animal. It is located, like I said, in Indochina, which is this region here. It was, except for Thailand, of course, colonized by the French long ago, and they called it French Indochina. The name's kind of stuck, even though it's a little dated, right? But it's mainly part of Southeast Asia, which is essentially like all of this here. Because, of course, we are Southeast, of course, in Asia. If that makes sense. And Bangkok's located right here. You can see the city limits there. It's fun when you turn on the everything filter here. It shows you, of course now it's not going to do it. Why didn't it do it? There we go. It shows you the subway lines. They're in different colors, isn't that fun? zoom in a bit to show you. Where should we start? I guess we will start off with the more historic sites. I have to remember where they are. I know it's along a bend in the river. Let's see. You guys like it when I'm wandering around on the map. So let's wander around on the map. You can see the big bridges there. Here we go. It's around this part of the map. So probably one of the more famous Wats is Wat Arun. This popped up almost every single time I was searching for famous places in Bangkok. This was always number 1 or number 2. And it is spectacular. It's the Temple of the Dawn. So the sky here is perfect in this picture. And it is a remarkable building here. This would have been the ceremonial Wat of Taksin. And of course, again, a Wat is just a very elaborate Buddhist temple. And isn't it Theravada Buddhism? Oh goodness. I'll have to put a thing on there if I remember what kind of Buddhism it is. I'm pretty sure this is Theravada Buddhism. So you can see it's excessive. It kind of reminds me of like Hindu temples, but I guess shinier. And with very specific symbols. It's really pretty. Beautiful Buddhas here. Right along here in the Chao Phraya River, there's always boats coming and going, barges that you can take to travel along the city in style. Isn't that fantastic? Lots of details of this one. Amazing statues there guarding it. The beautiful garden here. Wow. It's so extravagant. Definitely like the more detailed exterior Wat. A lot of them are super detailed on the interior. And of course right next to it would be the Thonburi Palace. This is the old palace of the first king. You can see some of the grounds here and statues commemorating this moment in history. Of course now I believe it's just a big museum, right? Pretty cool there along the river. So across the way is the current palace. You can see the grounds here. The Royal Hall, but I want to see just the palace. Do I have to turn on the everything again to make the palace pop up? My goodness, I sure do. The Grand Palace. Let's turn that off before I forget. Don't want to see every supermarket in town. I'm sure there are far too many. This place is like a fever dream. It is, I don't know, it reminds me of like a very heavenly landscape where everything is sparkling and beautiful and the buildings are just magnificent, just all around. Absolutely fantastic, right? So detailed, down to everything, even all the little bushes and plants are perfect in every way. Yeah, it looks like gods live here, which I'm sure is what they were going for, right? Land of the city of gods incarnate. With lots of fantastic Western detail as well in the palace, and I'm obsessed with these elephants. Gotta get me some of those when I have a fancy house. It's so beautiful. The main attraction here is the Temple of the Emerald Buddha, which this slideshow shows you more of the temple. Now the cat's in his litter box, ignore that. This shows you more of the temple. I'll show you a different slideshow that shows you a better picture of the actual Emerald Buddha, but there's one in here, which is actually a pretty good picture because, look at that, amazing. You can see all his different outfits. So every season he wears a different outfit, very similar to my Build-A-Bears. But these are 3 pictures here with different seasonal outfits that the Buddha wears. I think there's a better picture in the actual shrines slideshow. The chapel. Let's see. It is pretty remarkable. I'm like, look at this. I'm surrounded by all of this. And there's this little green Buddha there, dressed so elaborately. I think that's his winter clothes. Very stunning, isn't it? That's like a must-see when you're visiting Bangkok. You're visiting tourist sites. Nearby, let's see. Is this the one I'm thinking? I don't think it is, but that is absolutely fantastic, isn't it? What is it? I think I have it tagged here. There's some really great museums as well. I think this is the best slideshow, the National Museum of Bangkok. A lot of them don't have great slideshows. This is the best one, I think. Lots of Buddha statues. Lots of statues. Even the cat thinks it's a lot as he's digging fervently in his litter box. I'm waiting for him to finish digging. Look at all of these. Are these masks, you think? Or just elaborate headpieces depicting all of these different deities? Fantastic. There's a huge Ganesh. A big, looks like maybe a chariot of some kind. All these nagas on it, adorning it. Even more Buddhas here. Showing off this platform here that goes on top of an elephant. You can ride him around. And look at these. Where's the other one? Do they have, are these actual terracotta warriors from China? From Qin Shi Huang's tomb? Because they sure look like it. I mean, it's typical for museums to snatch up pieces from other parts of the world to display. You see that all over Europe. You see that all over America. But I wasn't expecting to see actual terracotta warriors here in Bangkok, but that is pretty neat. It's very hard to see actual terracotta warriors. Most of that place is off limits, and you have to go to special museums to see them. So maybe that's one of them. Oh, I know what I can show you. I have to find the palace again, and then over here is the shrine for the city pillar, which I told you that Rama I erected to officially declare that Bangkok was founded, and here is the pillar. Of course, it's all elaborate. People put offerings around it. It's in this fantastical shrine. All of these are covered in gold leaf almost excessively because that's a mark of respect to the deity. And I believe to offer a little prayer to add some gold leaf to it, but they're absolutely covered, aren't they? Families here showing respect. Some cool cannons outside the museum there. There's the whole exterior of where this pillar was erected. See, all absolutely smothered in gold leaf. This statue here. There are other ones I wanted to show you, but I can't. I'm not quite sure where they're located. Because as you can see, there are wads everywhere. And of course, they are all fantastic. I highly encourage you to poke around and see them for yourself. Let's see if I have any saved here in my search. I have this one. This one's pretty cool. The Golden Mount. It's located on the only hill in Bangkok, so you have to climb up a bunch of stairs to get to this big stupa here. You can see it's located high up, and you gotta walk up to it, and you get a fantastic city view. And of course, all these amazing shrines inside. Giant gold Buddha there. Golden Mountain, Thailand. Beautiful waterfall there as well. And how interesting is this that we were just in Bamyan? We were looking at something very similar to this. I wonder if it's the same deity. Thank you also to that person that commented about what exactly that Buddhist deity was, and that it's a deity that lives in empty spaces. So the fact that the Taliban blew up the Bamyan Buddhas is like not the worst, because it's technically still there because it lives in empty spaces. That's like my favorite comment I've gotten in a long time. Big old Buddha. That's a pretty cool one. I remember one of them that I thought was really neat was what? Oh, there it was It's right in front of me. If it was a snake, it would have bit me. It's because it was this long name. We know it as tourists' Wat Po. It has a giant reclining Buddha in it, which is my favorite Buddha. I can relate to reclining Buddha. It looks like he's giving a little side eye there. But that's just the perspective of the photograph. I'm sure he's quite serene. Lots of other Buddhas there. Some have been dressed up. And probably my favorite thing about reclining Buddhas, besides how serene and relaxed they look, is that their feet are always very detailed. Oops. Like their actual toe prints. But like in a Zen way. I guess Zen is not the right word in Buddhism, right? In a serene way. That's pretty neat. What else did I need to show you guys? You can see the river here coming through. Oh, I should show you because I was like, how is this an island? Everything says it's an island. But you can see that they dug this big canal here that essentially turns this whole block of land into an island. But I wanted to show you some memorials. We can look at the roundabout here, 22nd July roundabout. Kind of like in a lot of cities we've looked at, and we've looked at a lot of capital cities lately, how the roundabouts have these really beautiful monuments around. We have Chinatown apparently is a big, bustling, wonderful Chinatown, which I respect, because I'm from San Francisco, and we also have a big, beautiful, bustling Chinatown there as well. I thought I saw one that was around here somewhere. Here we go, Democracy Monument. I wanted to point out the democracy part of history so I could show you this, so that it would make more sense in context. Celebrating democracy in Thailand, an end of an absolute monarchy, which is not the most ideal way to run a country. It is a way to run a country. Not always the best solution. All ways to run countries are sometimes not always the best, but absolute monarchies are more problematic than others. There are very few left in this world. Goodness. And then here's another one, the Victory Monument. This is to commemorate the Thai victory in the Franco-Thai War. Oops. We went to the Wikipedia for it. Oh no. I have to just hit this. There we go. I hope you all enjoy seeing my tabs in it. Because I told you France wanted this area like nothing else. And they certainly did try, but they didn't. So there's a big monument there to celebrate that fact that Thailand was never colonized. It was always an independent kingdom, at least in terms of European colonization, right? It was conquered by other places, like I mentioned, the Burmese invasion for that little bit. But there's so much to see here that I can't even pick out. What else to show you? I might just end it here, to be honest. I think this is a huge shopping center, which also came up every time I searched what to see in Thailand, and it's very beautiful, but the slideshow on Google Earth is not great. That's very disappointing because it is quite gorgeous. But I'm going to end this video with this neighborhood here called Talat Noi. I didn't look at this slideshow beforehand, but this is another place that popped up whenever I searched like what you must see in Thailand. This always came up, and it's a neighborhood that really has not been touched by super modern standards in like the past, I guess, 20-30 years. You can see this car here's been parked for a while. Tires are flat, it's all rusted over. But let's explore this little neighborhood. It's right next to Chinatown as well. There's beautiful murals. So let's end it here. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed this style of content, please consider subscribing. We're going to be going to another capital city next. Social distance, always important. We are going to the capital of the CAR. We're going to Bangkok. So be sure to subscribe so you won't miss out. After that, we have another capital city. So now is the time to subscribe. If you learned something cool in this video, give this video a little thumbs up. Give me some right love. Give it a thumbs up. And let me know what fact it was down in the comments. Go tell it. I like your cats. I hope that you found this video to be relaxing and educational. And I hope that you have a good night. Good night. BKK so.